You've been refreshingly honest about, from a very early age, being desperate to be famous. You craved it.
I think it was craving attention. And also...
But fame as well.
Because I had this kind of illusion from... I think I was brought up on American television that, you know, if you become famous, everything's going to be fine. You will not have a single worry ever again. You know, maids will pick up after you, and it will all be, like, dreamlike. I mean, it's very naive, but, you know, it was all that sensibility. And then when boys didn't fancy me, or, you know, I'd be thinking, I'm going to be famous, then you'll be sorry. It was almost like it was a way of owning some power.
I want to take you back to when you were 6 years old, and you said you felt kind of unloved, that there wasn't much attention put on you, really.
The way I got my father's love was when I sang and when I danced.
It's quite interesting, I think, studying your parents. You know, your mum was Spanish.
Yeah.
Worked incredibly hard.
Yeah.
As a cleaner, was working, you know, 14-hour days
Yeah.
and so on. But she didn't want you to become a star.
Yeah.
Your dad didn't work hard, but, crucially, loved the idea of you living your dream.
But my father was much more artistic and into politics. He was very well-read. He loved all of that old Hollywood. He kind of, because of his age, he introduced me to that. It's something that we had in common. And so he tried to put me on the stage when I was 6 years old, and my mother stopped it. And it was just a strong way of connecting with my father.
You thought he was quite lazy, you said.
You know what I felt?
Compared to your mum, maybe.
Yeah. My father, he could have been a really successful man. He was really, really bright. And then he just... I think he had a car accident, and I watched him just kind of give up a little bit. And so I watched my mother work and work. From the day from 6 years old, my mother was I used to go with her. She was cleaning people's houses. So I just watched a very strong woman. I think my career, a lot of the time, was driven by my father's almost vision with my mother's work ethic, I think.
They split up when you were 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you had no money, did you, as a family, on either side, really? How poor were you, would you say?
I think it's all relative, but I felt different, I would say, to the children in my own class.
Why?
I could feel the difference. I just feel like... certain things, I felt quite embarrassed of, you really want to fit in. It would be just small things, like when I bring my packed lunch in, I could see that, that other people's, they have crisps and things like that. My mother would never, she couldn't really afford to buy things like that. Or I remember being very young, and a lot of my underwear and things like that were bought from a jumble sale. And my mother did an incredible job bringing us up, but I could just feel the difference. I had no elastic in my knickers, and I just felt...
Felt the odd one out, really.
A little bit, yes.
Your mother, Anna, wasn't that keen on you becoming a star, but she was to be disappointed, wasn't she?
I was dancing when I was 12.
Geri grew up in a modest 3-bedroomed house in Watford.
Young Geri was always wanting to be the centre of attention.
Always performing, even at home performing, singing into the hairbrush when she was little. I'd be playing the guitars and doing backup vocals behind her.
I think Geri doted heavily on her father, maybe because of the attention that my father gave her as regards, her potential. He obviously saw something early on, so yeah, I'd call her a bit of a daddy's girl, definitely.
But by the time Geri left school, she'd become a bit of a handful.
When Geri was a teenager, she went a bit wild.
Geri used to disappear maybe for a day or even longer. She'd go on a rave, and these raves would start at 11 o'clock at night, and they'd go right the way through the night to the early hours of the next morning.
Everyone used to go to a pub called the Game Bird, which is obviously no longer there. My memories of Geri were standing on the pool table, dressed in an all-in-one silver catsuit, jumping up and down, being as loud as ever, and everyone knew Geri.
Geri soon found herself a job aged 18. Podium dancing in nightclubs.
She was never scared of showing a bit of flesh, but who can blame her? She had a great figure.
Always looking for a way to turn heads, she soon graduated to glamour modelling.
I remember being a little bit concerned, stroke slightly horrified, thinking, well, where's this going to lead? Those are sort of pictures you see that bite celebrities later on in life. So she obviously had the foresight then that she wasn't going to do anything apart from boobies out.
It might have looked like Geri was going off the rails, but she definitely had a master plan. Fame by any means necessary.
This is the fashion police and baby, you're busted.
A break came as a game show hostess. It made her a household name. In Turkey. Just as Geri's quest for fame and fortune was gaining momentum, she received some terrible news. Her father, who'd always encouraged her to follow her dreams, had suffered a sudden and fatal heart attack.
Yeah, she was absolutely devastated, as we all were.
She went into shock. I don't think she could believe it. None of us could. And it was so sad that he never got to see her as a massive star.
Where were you when you heard about what happened to your dad?
I was in class. I'd gone back to study. I was studying English literature, and I was studying, and I got called out of class. And my brother said, "You've got to come." I got a message, "You've got to go straight home." And my brother was waiting for me and told me he found his body.
You're all very close, obviously.
Yeah, it kind of makes you closer, I think, as brothers and sisters when you lose a parent.
Do you miss him, your dad?
I'm absolutely gutted sometimes that I don't have a father in my life. Yeah, I do, definitely. Yeah, I do. Sometimes I think when I'm confused about, you know, what decisions to make in life, I wish I had that, like, fatherly role model to guide me. It took me a long time to grieve for him as well, because going straight into the Spice Girls, sometimes I don't think I would have been famous if it wasn't for my father's death, because the pain of it was so painful. And you know, in the Western world, when somebody dies, we don't have that. We're so formal. Nobody knew how to comfort me, and I didn't know how to express it either. It's that stiff, you know, we could just get on with it. And so I just turned all that pain into that, like, right, I'm going to make it. And I was almost militant with the girls. I know that looking back, I probably wasn't the easiest person. And it wasn't until I left the band, I think that's when I started to really feel, you know, how much I missed him.
I think you'd be very proud of you.
Thank you.
What I loved was the Turkey
Yeah.
show that you did. What on earth was that all about?
It's called Sesh Bakalum, Let's Make a Deal. So during the week...
Yes, but hang on. What are you doing in Turkey?
I know!
Doing the weather girl routine. I mean, what was... How did that happen?
It's basically, it's like a game show where you would just win, you know, kitchens and things like that. And so I was studying during the week, and then I'd fly out there, and I just have to go, oh. Sometimes I'd have to say something in Turkish, and I'd just write it on my hand and go, blah, 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 blah. I signed my first autograph in Turkey.
Then you moved on to nude photo shoots.
Okay, on that, how it wasn't exactly like that. It was, I got into a modelling agency from doing this dancing. I had a friend, she said, oh, you know, photographically, you could work as a glamour model. So that means, a glamour model means that you don't mind showing, in a tasteful way, you would do a bum cream, or so you don't mind showing a bit of flesh in a tasteful way. I was like, oh, OK, then. You could earn £200. I was like, oh, my God, really? So, anyway, but to build up your portfolio, what happens is the agent sends you off to a photographer, and so you'll do a nice headshot or something pretty. And they go, but in return, because you're not paying for it, you have to do some of his artistic shots.
Ah, yes.
And so I'm late teens. I've got no clue about protecting myself.
Are you proud of those pictures now?
Do you know, when I saw those pictures, I actually feel quite sad, because I kind of see the innocence and naivety in the face. It's not, I don't look at them and think I don't think they're empowering at all. I'm not ashamed of them.